don't know why this one is so hard. It's hard to say fruit flies. Hi everyone! I'm sitting in front of my dart frog vivarium, not because this video is about dart frogs, but because this video is about fruit flies. And if you keep dart frogs, then you know that breeding fruit flies is something that just comes along with that. And I've been keeping dart frogs and breeding fruit flies long enough now that it's just become a routine, and it's usually pretty simple. But lately, I've been having just a crazy problem with my fruit flies, and I'll get to that in just a little bit. I start a new culture of fruit flies once every week, and that always ensures that I have plenty of flies to feed to my frogs. But breeding the fruit flies absolutely has to be successful. Otherwise, I don't have anything to feed to my frogs. And that's one reason I don't recommend dart frogs to beginning frog keepers. Or at the very least, if you want to get dart frogs, get comfortable first with culturing the fruit flies before you get any frogs. So today I'm going to give you a quick rundown on how I culture my fruit flies and also show you this crazy problem that I've been dealing with. So here's what you're going to need. You'll need several of these tall deli cups with vented lids. You'll need some fruit fly media. And you'll need some Excelsior, which some people call wood wool. And I get all of these supplies from Josh's Frogs. And I've tried lots of different types of fruit fly media, but I have found that the fruit fly media from Josh's Frogs has been the most successful for me to breed lots of flies and for them to be healthy. And it's really pretty simple. All you do this is a 1/4 cup scoop, and you put a half of a cup of the media into the deli cup. And I have 3/4 of a cup of boiling water, which I'm going to pour on top of the media. And you don't have to stir it up, just let it soak into the media. And I've gathered up a good handful of this wood wool, which is very messy stuff. And basically I formed that into a ball and just set it inside the cup on top of the media. And that's all there is to it. The wood wool gives a surface area for the fruit flies to climb around on. And since we put boiling water in here, we're going to have to set this aside and let it cool off before we can add the flies. Okay, so I've given this culture that we made about 2 hours to cool down, and now we can add the flies. And you are going to need, at least to start with, a fresh culture of flies. And I had mentioned that I get my culture supplies from Josh's Frogs. And I can tell you that over the last year or so, if Josh's Frogs is not out of stock on the fruit flies, then the cultures that I have gotten from them are usually half dead or not very healthy. So this time I got a culture from a place called Reptile Deli, which is a company in New York that sells all kinds of feeders and bioactive supplies. And I was really happy with the culture that they sent me. They're really healthy flies, and there's a lot of flies. And it came real quickly, so I think I will continue getting flies when I need them from Reptile Deli. And I'll put a link to their website in the description below. So I'm going to put about 50 or 60 flies into this new culture. And the way I'm going to do that is very quickly, and I need to be very careful to not let any of these stray flying fruit flies get into this culture. So I'm probably going to try to move really fast. Here's one right now. And what I do is I have this plastic gallon-size water jug that I cut the top off of, and it is kind of flexible. It makes it really easy to put the flies in here and then bend it kind of like this and then tap them into here. Because if you just tap flies from this one straight into this one, they kind of go everywhere, and then you have flies running all over the place. So I'm going to get this one ready. Just tap this to get the flies off of the lid. And if you see them crawling up the sides, just tap it like this and they fall back down. Then tap that and they go back down. And you're inevitably going to have some of them escape. Now I'm just going to feed some of these to the dart frogs. And there you go. This one's ready to start breeding. All you have to do is put this on a shelf at room temperature, and in about 2 or 3 weeks, this will be booming with lots and lots and lots of flies. So I told you earlier that I've been having a big problem with my fruit flies, and I should be referring to them as flightless fruit flies, because the fruit flies that are used for feeders are genetically bred to not be able to fly. But flightless fruit flies can revert back to flying fruit flies. And I've read that if the temperature gets too high, that can happen. Or if a stray wild fruit fly gets in your cultures, they can spawn new flying fruit flies. And this started a few months ago, where there were just a few flying fruit flies in my cultures. And then with every successive culture, there were more and more flyers. So with all of my cultures being infested with flying fruit flies, the only solution I had was to order a fresh batch of new fruit flies and just start fresh with completely new fruit flies. So this culture that I just made for you was from the new flies. But with fruit fly cultures taking 2 to 3 weeks to start producing flies, it'll take at least a month or 2 for me to have all new flies. And in the meantime, I just have to feed my frogs from the old cultures with the flying fruit flies in them. Luckily, my family has been really patient about it, and I'm kind of surprised because they can still remember the fungus gnat explosion from the summer. Usually, feeding the frogs looks like this. After dusting them with calcium or vitamins, I tap the flies out of their container and they just fall into the vivarium and get eaten. But you can see here that lots of the flies are not falling, but just flying around everywhere. Oh my God, they're flying everywhere. Anyway, it's really made things complicated. I've had to be really careful and do everything I can to make sure these new cultures don't become contaminated with any of the old flies that are flying around. And if things go to plan as the old cultures are completely replaced by the new flies, any of the flying ones left hanging around should finish out their life cycle and eventually die and be gone. But that might take some time because the average lifespan of a fruit fly can be as much as 30 to 40 days. And an additional problem has been that the fruit flies are getting into my day geckos and crested geckos vivariums because they're attracted to the Pangea that I feed them. But I think I have a handle on it. I have the new culture started with new flies. Plus, I've been running this catchy flying insect trap full time. And I've also been putting out bowls filled with apple juice and a little bit of dish soap. They're attracted to that, and the dish soap breaks the water tensions so they drown when they get in it. It's really been a pain, but just like the fungus gnat explosion, I think we'll get past it. And the dart frogs are so beautiful that I'm willing to go through a little bit of a pain for them. For those of you watching that have raised fruit flies before, I'd be really curious if you've ever had this problem and what your thoughts are or what you might have done to solve it. Just leave me a comment below. And I really appreciate you watching. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.